In this lesson we're going to create a game manager which in this project will hold what's called global variables, or technically more a singleton, which will hold all the variables for the game, and then we can access them game variables wherever we want to, whichever project we're in. So it's really powerful. Now a game manager is simply a script, so we are going to use a script. So in the top of the screen here you have 2D, 3D, script, game, assets, library. We click on the scripts tab, then you'll see the screen change. Now we need to go to file, and this is the file of the script area. So file, new script. Now we are going to call this game manager. Now it's very important we get this correct, so it's capital G A M E M A N A G E R. Now this is not a general format. This is a format I'm going to use for this project. Now if you create your own projects in the future, it doesn't matter what you call this, as long as the name you call the game manager is the one you're going to use in the subsequent scripts in the future. I'll cover that more as we cover proper scripting a little bit later, but just for now the game manager is in there. Now it's very important that you click onto this folder here, because we need to save this in the script folder. And if you haven't got a script folder, you can click on this button here, call it script, and it will appear here, and then double click script. And because we call this game manager in the name of the script, go to open, and then that we go to create, and you'll see the game manager script here. Now you'll notice that we have what's called an extends node. Now this by default is simple normal node. It's only a program script, nothing else. So we are going to type in what we need inside our game manager. Now this can contain anything that you want from which you need to refer in your game. If you had an adventure game, for instance, this could hold an inventory items, and it could hold conditions if the player is holding the key to unlock the door. And it's very powerful. Again, what you need to do with these new skills I'm showing you is use the skills, understand the skills first, use them in many different ways, however you want to do. Okay, so we always start a variable with the var command. I'm going to use score. Now I did mention before that I'm going to use lowercase score because in our heads up display we use the uppercase s for the score, so we can determine between which is which. You won't get confused then, because if you call this capital S and that capital S, not only Godot will get confused, but you'll get confused as well. So we're doing a variable name, which in my case is score, so it's equals, and then we're going to put an initial value of the score. Now when the game moves along, the score will automatically change depending on what items your player collects and this type of thing. We will then increase the score of the game manager to use later. Now we are going to actually attach these variables to the HUD a little bit later, and you'll see what I mean. The next variable we're going to go for is lives, because as let's say the bees contact the actual player, they'll lose a life, and we're going to have an initial lives of 3, but again that can be up to you how many lives you want. A bit of a tip: when you're testing games, when you're creating them, make the lives a lot, make 100 lives, so you're not going to have to keep resetting the game when you're testing it, because it's very important that you don't encounter any bugs when you play it. Now a big tip is make certain you put the lives back to 3, otherwise it will make the game too easy. Okay, thank you. So the final one is health. So again we'll put them all is lowercase, you can see, and I'm going to put lower health equals 5 to do. Now that's in its entirety is quite there, no problem at all. Now we're going to connect these with our HUD in a second, because we're going to put some more code in the HUD. Now with that completed now, so you go to save, so file, save. You could do a shortcut here. Now it's usually the shortcut's Control S, but in the program script here it's Alt Control and S to save, but I'll click on to save there. Now that gets saved there. Now there's one other thing we have to do with the game manager. We have to make certain the game manager runs when we very first run the game. So to do that, we need to go to project settings, and then you'll notice in the tabs along the top here there are globals. This is where you put programs that's going to run and stay resident all the time from the very beginning. Now we need to get the game manager script, so you click on this folder here. In the scripts folder you'll see game manager, so click onto that, click onto open. Now the second part, very important, make sure the game manager appears there, which you selected here. Then click on to add, then that appears then there, and it states exactly where that game manager is. Make sure enable's checked, and then we can go to close. Now as soon as we run the game manager will run along with it, and these variables, whatever variables you put into the game manager, are available anywhere in your project. It's very, very powerful indeed. Okay, so now that's done, let's go back to our HUD scene, which I've kept open in the background here. So if I click onto HUD, if I go on to the 2D scene, you can see that's what we created earlier. Now I'm going to create a scene, sorry, I'm going to create a computer program or script on the HUD. So make sure HUD's selected, and you see a little icon here which attach new scripts. So click onto that. Again, we need to save things in the scripts folder. It's very important. It really is very important, guys. I've had many students not follow these basic rules, and they get all kind of problems when the project's more complex. You need to make certain you save your scripts in your scripts folder. Make certain you save your scenes in your scenes folder, and keep all your assets in assets folder, and don't mix them, just put them randomly anywhere. It may seem faster at first, but no, you need to save this in the correct way. So click on to open, and we're going to save that then in the scripts folder. Create that. Now you'll notice here there is another script screen to open. Now I'm going to actually use this script here. I'll show you exactly what this does now. You don't want to see me typing in. I'm not very fast at typing, so therefore I'll use the code I've already completed in the past. So I'll explain this very, very carefully, because it's very important you understand it. Now func process, we'll cover this more in the actual scripting side of the Godot book, but process delta is a never-ending loop. Once the function runs, because it's a process delta, and delta based on the time of your computer, 60 frames a second, it runs round and round and round and does not stop until you stop the game. Now these next parts here are very important, but they're easily understood because we are using the absolute notifier here, because we're using a node, and by using the $, we're addressing that node. So there's the lives one and the score one and the health one. We're addressing them nodes directly from this scene by using the $. Then the text is the text property. If you remember, we put text in the text property a little earlier. So if I click on the score and we go back up to there, you'll notice that's where the text goes. It's in the text property. Okay, we're going to put this particular text inside there. So it's score, the label you want, text property equals then whatever between the quotations we're going to type into there. So we put score and colon, and you can see I've left a space there. If you didn't leave a space, the actual score value will appear right next to the colon, which is not really good font layout, but it depends on how you want to do that. That's not a problem at all. But you'll see there's a plus sign here, which means we're going to add something to the label in addition to the word score. STR stands for string. So the string is the game manager score, but at the moment the game manager is a variable. It's actually a number or integer, to be perfectly honest, a whole number. So we need to convert that number to a string. That's why we str, and in the brackets you'll see game manager dot score, and whatever is in our game manager, you'll see score, game manager score. That's what you have to type into there. So if you call your game manager something else, that's where the other something else would be named there, but I call it game manager for obvious reasons for me. And then score, now you'll notice I said before capital S but lowercase s inside the game manager. That's so you and Godot will not get confused what it's trying to address. So now that script is attached to the HUD, and when the HUD runs, because we've got this script inside the HUD, it will automatically go to the game manager to get the information. So if we test this now, so make sure the HUD is selected and that's selected. We're going to save it first. So scene, save scene. We're going to test this, and what you should find is that the HUD appears, but now it's got the attached variables to it from the game manager. Now I'll show you this works again, because if you've got a game manager, let's change the score to 100. Save that. Okay, and then we run the HUD scene again. You'll now notice the score is 100. So as, let's say, a player collects something or adds something to the score will automatically be added, you'll see with script later, to the game manager. So if they score 10 points, we'll add 10 points to the game manager score, and then that will appear actually inside the HUD. It's really, really powerful, but not a lot of coding to do. Okay, that is the HUD all sorted for now. Now the fun begins, because we're going to start scripting for all the actual assets we've already created. The scenes you've created, you work very, very hard at. They'll make far more sense when they start piecing things together. But by now, you will have got plenty of practice on creating many different scenes. We've created an apple scene, a background scene, a bee scene, exit level screen, game over scene, a ground scene for the player to stand on, a HUD which you just created now, the level 1 which I showed you before, is like a combination of creating a level from all your scenes you created, the main menu, the platform, the player scene, and the winner scene. And you've got plenty of practice creating scenes, but I would strongly recommend that you create ideas of your own using the skills you've got to consolidate these ideas. And please always read and refer back to the Create 2D Games in Godot book by Cool Studios. It's a fantastic reference, and it's the book that's linked directly to these videos. So if you can actually access that on Amazon, it's completely free. If you want to buy it, it's only $7. You can get a paperback version, which is only a very, very good price, like $15, somewhere around there. It's really good to use, but you don't need the book because you've got the actual videos here. But it's always good to have a reference book to fall back on as well. Okay, so in the next video, we're going to start scripting properly. I'll see you then.